Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Well, long time no see. It was November when I did my last video, and there's been a few things going on, but a little bit more about that later. What we're going to be doing today is to try and overcome the probability that I'm going to get some nuisance species attacking my hook baits. And in my case, obviously I'm fishing for carp as usual, but in my case that happens to be turtles and eels. So basically what happens is you get some bait out there on the feeder, obviously at this point, and if the carp don't turn up within sort of, I don't know, 30-40 minutes, you get to the stage where you're probably not going to get many carp, but then the turtles and the eels move in, and it's literally is one after another, and that's the last thing I want to be catching. So what I needed was a bait which would get past that. And then for the purposes of you guys in the UK and Europe, this could well be things like roach, skimmers, in some places little crayfish, especially in Europe. But basically what I'm going to use is the standard almond. Now, people tell me that these things float when you first chuck them in, but I've tried it with a few batches now, none of them ever floated, so I'm just going with it. And what I do is literally take the full almond, there it is, and then just chop the end off it to make it a bit more round, a bit more the size and shape of a piece of sweet corn. Now I do it through the middle there, because the plan is that I can stack 2 or 3 or 4 of them one on top of another. And you see that? Let's see if we can do it like that if I want to go for bigger fish. Of course, you might think, well, that's just going to spin up and it's going to be a problem, but it never has been so far. However, having said that, I have drilled 1 or 2 straight down through there and out of the end. Got to be a little bit careful because on some of them, like this one, I went down there. This one's a little bit sort of longer. I literally just cut these off with a knife, by the way, and it came out. It came out through the side, so that too could have some potential for spinning up on the retrieve. So basically, that's it. I'm going to start off with my usual sweet corn on the hook. I'm going to feed as per normal, and we'll see how we go. I'll get this set up, and I'll tell you a little bit more then about what's been happening over the last few months. So, first of all, standard sort of running cage feeder, 3-hole feeder, 20 grams. And I've fished this swim loads of times, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck it out to about 20 turns. That's maybe just a fraction too much, 20 turns, and I'm just going to clip up just to see where I'm at, because I find that 20 turns here is about right. So that's about 23 turns, a little bit too much, so oops. What we'll do is we'll hit the clip, there we go, and then 1, 2, 3, about there, and I'm going to clip up again, and that's where I'm going to be fishing to. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some bait on, and I'm going to get myself out there fishing. Right, I've put 6 feederfuls out there in 2 slightly side-by-side locations, probably 3 meters apart, 3 in each. And what I'm going to do is start off with the corn, as I say, see how we go, because if they turn up, I do find that they come on this probably a bit more quickly, although I'm still learning about the almonds. Okay, so I've got my standard ground bait, some bit of wheat there, a little bit of hemp seed, sweet corn, and some pellets, and I'm just going to put them all in like that, and off we go. Now, I actually have got it on the clip at the moment, but as soon as I get it out there, I'm going to take it off the clip, and I'll tell you why in just a sec. Right, take it off the clip, and I haven't got the anti-reverse on, okay, and the reason for that is because this place is only 3 or 4 feet deep, and I've had times where the fish have literally taken the bait, all but ripped the rod off the wrist. The reel's going backwards, and if I'd have tried to grab it with the anti-reverse on, I'd have been smashed up, and I wouldn't have even had a chance to get anywhere near the line clip. So that's why I'm fishing that way. If you heard a bit of line jagging through the rings as it went out, that's because I'm using a stop knot to indicate where I'm fishing and when I've got to stop it. Just means it's more accurate. I'll go through that one another day, but for the purposes of this one then, as I say, we'll just have to wait and see. Time now, I didn't come out early, but the time now is 11:38. So first cast, call it 20 to 12 first cast. I'll give it 3 or 4 hours maybe and see how we go. Okay, so while we're actually on this, let me just sort myself out a little bit here. While we're actually on this waiting game, what's been happening with Den? Well, Den's been having a bunch of medical tests for different things. So far, nothing too drastic. We're still waiting for the results of most of the tests and visits to the specialists. But hey, I'll let you know how things go on that at some point. The other thing is, over this past year, Den's had his first grandson, who is now 1 and is walking, and we have him across our house once or twice a week, and he's a handful. So that kind of stops me going out fishing a little bit. Also, we've got a dog, new dog. She's pretty energetic. She's a lovely little dog. It's crossed between a Staffy and a thing called a Kelpie, which you don't have in England. But she's a sort of a medium-sized dog, but she means that I'm out first thing in the morning and walking her. So all in all, I'm pretty fit, except for the fact that I've got all these different tests going on. So that's basically where we're at the moment. I know I haven't posted a video since the end of November, but with Christmas and all the rest of it, and also the weather, we've had 40 degrees over here over through Christmas. Been absolutely horrendous in that respect. Talking about which, before anyone complains, I shall put my hat on and put my hat on and my glasses. Don't like talking to you with glasses on particularly, but when you're fishing you have to. So that's where I'm at. Hopefully we will be doing a reasonable amount of videos this year, but I can't guarantee it's going to be every week or even every 2 weeks. It might only be once a month. I honestly don't know. I'll just have to see how things go, see what allows me to transpire, and we'll take it from there. So we're just a couple of minutes in still. Still waiting for the fish to turn up. I would be surprised if I got anything within half an hour. Sometimes you do. But if I don't, that's when these almonds come into their own. Now, a couple of words about almonds. As I say, people tell me they float, but none of mine have. I've also cut them down, as you see, just literally take a knife and slice them down. That works well. But they're quite hard, obviously, because they're nuts. We've all eaten almonds, and it does seem that these turtles, in my case, don't seem to want to know about them. And that gives the odd carp that does turn up time to arrive, take the bait, and they do seem to love it when they're here. Not actually really tried almonds when I've been catching well on the sweet corn. Not sure why, probably because I was catching well on sweet corn. But so, as I say, for Europe, you may well find that almonds get you away from small roach, skimmer bream and so on. Of course, if you're catching big bream and tench, I wouldn't mind that anyway, so I'm quite happy if they pick it up. But that's pretty much the reasoning behind it all. Word of warning, if you're on commercials in the UK or even club ponds, you may well find that nuts are banned in all shapes and forms. Now, I'm only using them on the hook, not feeding any at all. Doesn't seem to be a need for it. And from what I can gather, there's various issues about people feeding nuts, particularly the specimen carp anglers who may at times in the past have put out huge beds of things like tiger nuts and stuff like that. But as I say, we'll be just using them as hook baits, and when we come to put them on, I'll show you how I hook them. It's not rocket science, but I am on a hair rig at the moment. Just so you know, I've got 6-pound Guru dragline mainline. I've got, that's a 025. I've got a size 14 KKHB hook, always barbless, with a hair rig, 2 pieces of corn on at the moment. And the rod is the Nitro Impacts Commercial 11 feet, which I like. Got the 2-ounce tip in this one today. And the reel is just something I picked up off Temu, which I'm trying for the first time today, and I'll tell you a lot more about in the near future once I've got the chance to do the video. Okay, well, hopefully then, we're about to now start to get fish. We've only been fishing for 5 minutes, so I think have me obligatory cup of tea before we do anything else, and hopefully they'll turn up. Just while we're waiting for a bite, I've got a hook length out. It's a, if you can see it, there we are. It's the same as the one I've got on, 14 hook KKHB, and literally all I'm going to do is if I take my piece of almond there, as I say, the hole goes through there, and all you do, obviously self-explanatory, is to put your hair stop, in this case Guru quick stop. This hole is probably something like 1.5 millimeters, but you have to just drill the hole to whatever size of the hair stop you're using is. Obviously I've got some quite beefy ones, so for those I would need a bigger hole, but there we go. You could also use a baiting needle, of course. I don't know how well that would work. I've tried pushing a baiting needle with the barb on it through. If you're going to do that, you wouldn't be able to use the hair stop. You just have to use the loop and then a separate stop. But either way, it all works. Now, this one actually sits quite nicely like that. Hopefully you can see that just off the bend of the hook. I do have some hook lengths already made up, which are somewhat longer, and so if necessary I could stack 2, 3 or 4 even on there, maybe even 5. And so that would probably be on the rivers where the fish are generally somewhat bigger. But that's literally all there is to it. It's just like hooking any other bait. If you do need to take this off, if it's been in the water for a while, it'll usually break up, but you can always just push it back through and it comes out like that. So nothing too difficult there, all pretty straightforward stuff. I'll put this hook length back because I have to tie my own, and I find them precious because I've got to the point now where I've tied so many in my lifetime that I hate tying hooks. Not good on repetition anymore. Anyway, that's the basis of it. I just hope we start to get a few bites. I'd like to catch a few fish. Fishing's been pretty terrible this year. As I said, we've had all that hot weather and everywhere was really dry. In fact, a week ago I was sitting down there in the water on a gravel bank. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a second. And then we had the rain, and so that river just behind my house is in flood again. And this is now much higher than it ever was. So I don't know if the rain has caused it to slow down. This year I really don't know with the fishing. It's been pretty patchy all round. But anyway, hopefully we'll get a few. I need to reel in again and just get some more bait out. I don't know how we are for time at the moment. Let's have a quick look, see if I can see. 11:58, so I've been going 20 minutes or so. I am fishing with 2 bits of corn on the hook, so I'm going to need to put another one on. But it's just going to be, you know, rinse and repeat sort of thing for a while, see what happens. I still haven't had my cup of tea, so we'll do that next. Whoops. Oh, hang on, what I got there? Yeah, got something going on. Let's check this drag. Well, first bite. Don't think it's big. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not big, but it's not a turtle. There we are. What have we got here? Oh, a tiny little carp. Don't get too many of that size in here. Usually a lot bigger than that. But that's okay. At least we've caught something. Probably about a pound, I suppose. Nicely hooked. Nice fish though. There you go. Looking at the wrong camera there, Dan. I've just moved the other one to look at the end of the rod. Right. Let's just see if we can get them going. Still got to drink my tea. Probably 25 minutes in, I would think, by now. Okay, got a bit of stuff particles in the ground bait, so we'll go with that. And that was on the left hand swim, so I'll go back to that. And we are, where are we? There we are. Oh, snagged up on the bottom there somehow. Good news is it's not a method feeder, so it doesn't hurt too much to drag the feeder back towards you a little bit. It's only about 2-3 feet, but it's actually now pretty much spot on where I need it to be. There's all sorts of rocks and things. I don't know if you've been able to see from this camera or that one today, but there's all sort of huge rocks, bits of concrete and all sorts down here. And they're also down in the water. In fact, just down here, I don't know if you can see that from this camera, but just down here there's a lump of concrete with all sorts of rebar sticking out of it. Yep, bit of a knock. And that looks to me like it could be a turtle. You always get these weird little bites with turtles, and I've got a feeling it is. So you see, again, we're in this situation where we're probably half an hour in, and here it is. Oh, turtle. You can see the bait sticking out of its mouth. The trouble is, I'll now be plagued with these for the rest of the day, so we're going to stop using corn, and we'll go on to fishing with the almonds and see what happens. Let's get this off the hook. Let's use a disgorger. It's not swallowed it, it's just I'm not keen on touching the mouths. I'm not actually sure if they've got teeth or not, if I'm honest. But anyway, let's see how we go. Here we go. Right. So, there you go. Turtles. There he goes, he's okay. Right, we've got him back, oops. And now we'll just try the almonds like I said. Exactly as I showed you. Just through the middle, look. Like that. And out the back. And these things stay on remarkably well. In fact, I found with these, you can catch 2 or 3 fish before they finally fall apart. They are relatively soft, as far as nuts go, but it's certainly enough to dissuade the turtles and the eels from eating them. Never actually yet had either of those on it, but I remain to be proved wrong, as usual. Right, so, just wash my hand off a bit. Oh, well, I think as well, people often ask me, how long does the bait I've either made or whatever, how long does it last? And can you put it in the fridge? Well, to give you an example, these almonds here, I actually made them 2 years ago to fish a match on a very prolific river where we were catching sort of £1/2 to £1 carp, one after another, literally off the top 2 of a pole. And as I say, I've only recently started using them, so these are about 2 years old. So it just seems that shelf life, well, forever pretty much. Just getting little wavers on the tip now. That's usually turtles either mooching around by the feeder, or sometimes you get a little pluck, which is where it crosses the line. So if they were carp, there'd be more sort of proper plucks. It's difficult to explain. When you've been doing this for a long time, you actually understand what I'm talking about. But these are far more subtle, just sort of this sort of thing, and that's definitely turtle stuff. You may not even be able to pick it up on that camera over there. I really don't know at this point. But we are now, time to be started, 11:40, and it's 12:20, so that's 40 minutes. As I say, if the carp don't turn up, the turtles do. about 5 minutes since I caught that one. So just hope some carp are in the area. Well, it's just coming up for an hour. Had that one little carp, as you know, but don't seem to be any other carp in. Now, it may be that that rain we had a couple of days ago, which has filled up all the rivers, has put them off with the cold water going in. I don't know. And as we say, that one little carp, but there's very little movement from them. But what we are proving is that we're not catching turtles now. Unfortunately, it's not proving that almonds are attractive to carp either, but trust me, they are. Oh, is that a carp? That was a pretty big liner then. I think that might be swimming towards me actually. Yeah, that's a carp. You see how many turns on the reel I had to put on before it actually connected back up. Must have swum straight towards me and bolted. Definitely a carp though. As I say, using almonds, you tend to be doing it when you're not actually catching a lot on the usual baits. It does take a little bit longer maybe, but I suppose at some point I'm going to have to try almonds from the get-go and just see if they're just as good as sweet corn. This isn't a huge fish. How? Oh dear, having one of those days. We'll just take the clutch down a bit. It's not even all that big, but I don't know if it's the heat over here or what, but they really do fight massively. There we go. Got him. Oh, and the hook's come out in the net, which is handy. As I say, barbless hook. And it's probably, I don't know what, 2.5 pounds. But at least we've got one. And if we look at the bait, the almond is still very much intact. Maybe the hole is slightly bigger, but perfectly usable. And for those of us who are lazy, we're going to use it again. I've got some particles already in here, so I don't need to redo that. Let's get this back out the same place. There we are. Okay, well, dead on the hour. So far, what I said at the beginning seems to be turning out to be correct. Phew. Oh, there's a little bit of a bump, and I think that was a turtle. Probably its leg just hit on the line. But I'm not really getting any indications from carp. Normally you'd be getting sort of this sort of thing, but I'm not really getting that at all. As I say, they don't seem to want to play ball today, or not in any great way anyway. We've had those two, and they were the smaller ones. I've had carp up to 18 pounds or so. I said here, was that a bite? Was that just an indication? I only caught it out of the corner of my eye then. But we're having a couple of fish, and we're not catching turtles, so that's good. As I say, if it's roach and skimmer bream and stuff, I think you'd be in the same position with that too. I've got a feeling I might be attached to something there, possibly the leg of a turtle. We'll wait and see, but hang on, let's see what happens. Oh no. That is very much, oh, it's come off. That was very much, oh no, it's not come off. It's, oh, what's it doing? It's all over the place. I didn't, oh, hey, what do I know? This is definitely not a turtle. And it's bigger than the others as well. It could be a mullet. Not that oh, it's come off. Definitely came off that time. Well. Again, bait's pretty much exactly as it was. Just so that you know, we're not actually masking the point at all. Look, it can hook on quite neatly. I hope you can see that properly. It's going to catch anything like that. That was just unfortunate that it came off. As I say, there are some mullet in here, so one of those things sometimes when you catch them. But they aren't turtles, which is great. But what a rubbish bite. Okay, we'll go down to the left again. Left hand side rather. Just while we're sitting here waiting for a bite, guys, I was here recently and the water levels were very low because we hadn't had any rain, and I was sitting down there on a gravel bank, and I was sort of sitting like this and I was fiddling away with something, and all of a sudden out of the water, literally from underneath the surface, came this big black snake, a red-bellied black snake, and it came up. Didn't actually see me at first, actually put its head on the bank and just stuck its head over the edge of my foot plate there, and it was only when I jumped and screamed like a big girl that it decided that it too was not happy with the situation, and it disappeared back under the water. Now obviously it was a mistake, it wasn't in any way trying to attack me or anything like that. It's obviously, there's a slab over there, the farmer tells me it lives under there. It's about 4 feet long, about sort of this big, black. And it's, as I say, a red-bellied black snake. They're not the most poisonous things in the world, but if they bite you, they can do you a damage and put you in hospital, sort of thing. I'm just lucky, I suppose, that it wasn't an eastern brown. Now, those things quite often they're not especially going to chase you. I don't think they ever do. But if they're cornered, their form of defence is probably to attack, and they are the second most deadly snake in the world, after the taipan, which is further north from here. But one of those things, you get bitten by one of those and you haven't got very long before you have to get to the hospital and get yourself sorted out. But anyway, as I say, such a shock when the snake comes from underwater. Well, what do we have here? Just tighten the clutch a little bit. Come on. Slightly bigger. Come on, fish. Not getting any big ones today, though, am I? I have to admit, I suspect the almonds are better for bigger fish rather than these small things. Come on. Whoa! Beached himself. A crazy fish. There we go. Oof. Wow. Well, I'd say that was probably 2.5 pounds. So, yeah, I mean, we're not catching many fish, but at least we're putting something together, aren't we? Oops, come here, fish. There you go. Okay, let's get back in. See if we can get another one. No way. Off we go again. I was actually doing something else at the time, which was tying a stop knot. My stop knot had just come off and the rod went round. Oh, fish. Oh, he's in amongst all the gravel and boulders. Come on, stay away from there. This is a bit bigger. Whoa, slow down, fish. Slow down, slow down, slow. Ah! Straight in a tree up there. I don't know. That's what you get for tying a duff stop knot then. Right, looks like I'm going to have to set up again. Let's just put this down here out of the way. I don't know. Now I'm caught round there. Oh, yeah, sometimes. Have I got anything left? Oh, I might have a. Oh yeah. I think the hook link's probably gone. Yeah, that was tearing off towards that sunken tree up there, which. Ah well, just goes to show there's one or two fish out there now. So, what I was trying to say was, I've been using a stop knot to gauge my distance, and I'd devised a new stop knot, which is a releasable one, and it had released itself, and I was practicing with it. Anyway, I was just tying another one like an idiot. I left the thing in the water, and of course it went round. But I dare say we've all done daft things in our lives, and now I've got to tie another hook on. But yeah, that was a good fish, wasn't it? Well, folks, it looks like all that rain we've had over the last couple of days, 3, 4, 5 days, has really put the kibosh on the carp feeding at the moment. I had a couple, as you've seen, on the almonds, but what I think we have proven is that if you put sweet corn on, you get turtles, or, as in the case of the UK or Europe, possibly just roach, bream, maybe the odd signal crayfish, something like that. But trust me, I've had quite a few fish on almonds of late, and they're an easy bait to prepare. They're easy to put on the hook. They stay on for a long time, and I think they're worth a go. And I'm actually just getting a little twitch. We'll just give it a second. I think that's probably just more turtles just bouncing over the line, but it does definitely stop you from getting bites from nuisance species. Anyway, that's it. I got to get back and walk the dog. It's only a 2.5 hour session, but I don't like to leave her for more than 3 hours at a time. So, see how we go. Anyway, till the next time, all the best. Bye for now.